My name is Mike Youman. My situation before coming to New Roots was that I was a chronic, intermittent cocaine and crack user for 33 years. The longest period of sobriety I had during those 33 years was 2.5 years. I also had a year twice. Most of the time it was a period of weeks or months, and I'd always relapse. I have tried AA a number of times. I've had several sponsors. I've worked through the 12 steps a number of times. I've also been to Smart Recovery. I was even in Rational Recovery in the 80s before it became Smart Recovery. And I've also used Refuge Recovery. And while I found all of them somewhat effective and helpful in battling my addiction, I was never able to really solve the problem and become recovered. And so my situation became increasingly desperate over the years, and that was my situation leading up to my decision to come to New Roots. My experience with Ibogaine is hard to encapsulate in a few words. It is a qualitatively different experience from anything I've ever known. Overall, if I had to put it in a word, it was positive in that it accomplished the goal. The main goal for me for using Ibogaine or trying the Ibogaine treatment was to serve as an addiction interruption. I was on a pretty bad run during the weeks leading up to the time I came here, and the treatment put a stop to that and gives me an opportunity to move forward from here clean and sober and free from cocaine. So the reason I'm not like wholly emphatic and enthusiastic about it is it's a difficult experience. It's nothing that is fun, but very effective. It was a grueling experience for part of it. It didn't, as the doctor here told me before, it's the Ibogaine won't show you what you want to see, it'll show you what you need to see. And sometimes what you need to see isn't particularly pleasant, but I'm very grateful for having seen the visions that I did and have the experience that I had. So overall, I am positive about my experience with Ibogaine. How I prepared for my Ibogaine treatment and my plans for aftercare were two very important components for me. Having tried so many different treatment methods over the years and having been to 4 inpatient treatment facilities and 4 or 5 outpatient facilities, I knew that just coming to rehab or to a treatment for any period of time in and of itself would not be enough to sustain permanent, long-lasting, permanent sobriety. And so, and I talked a lot about that with the staff here before I came, Evan and Dr. G and Carlos in particular, and they emphasized the value of coaching. And I took advantage of a partnership between New Roots and Being True to You, a coaching organization out of San Diego. And I had 2 coaching sessions before I came here, during which the coach prepared me for what the experience would be like, and we talked extensively about making plans for when I come home, because I've often said to people it's very easy to stay sober in treatment. The trick is to stay sober after you get out of treatment. And so I think a big mistake that many other treatment facilities make is they get you sober and they get you clean and you look good and you smell good and then bye, and there's not that support there. So one of the things that I did with my coach was I set up a meeting for the very first day I get back to my home. I'm leaving tomorrow and I have a coaching session at 4:30. So I'm very happy about that because as good as any treatment is, it needs to continue. And I know from many years of experience that it's what you do day to day to day to day that puts together the weeks, that puts together the months, that puts together the years, that can put together a lifetime. So new routes in particular help me in my recovery in two important ways. Number one, the centerpiece of the treatment here obviously is the Ibogaine medicine. And the Ibogaine medicine appealed to me primarily due to the scientific research that has been done on how it attaches to certain specific neurotransmitters and washes your brain with dopamine and serotonin and this kind of scrubs your brain is one of the metaphors that a lot of the research uses. And I put a lot of stock in science. I'm not a particularly God-fearing individual. I've had a lot of challenges in 12-step programs with the whole higher power idea. I don't object to having a higher power, but I can't rely on a higher power to keep me sober. I'd much rather rely on medicine and scientific research that says here's why it serves as an addiction interruption. And I can tell you that in the 48 hours since I underwent the treatment, I've had absolutely no cravings, no thoughts of using, no desire to use. In fact, even when I think about it, I'm kind of repelled by the thought. And so that's very important to me, the whole science behind Ibogaine. The second way new routes in particular is helping me with my recovery is the care, and I'll say this at the risk of sounding sentimental, the love and affection that the staff here brings to the patients. I have never seen a staff take such, get a little emotional, such personal interest and invest so much energy into individuals. I'll speak for myself personally. Each one of the psychologists here, Marco, Bio, Dr. Laura, they were willing to share personal stories from their own lives in order to identify with me, in order to connect with me, and I never felt judged. I never felt condescended to. I felt like they were one human being talking to another and reaching out with love, a hand of help, and I'm very grateful. So what I might say to somebody who is afraid to try Ibogaine treatment is two things. One, I would say, good feeling. You probably should be scared. It is a very powerful plant medicine. But number two, more importantly, more than fear, you should be excited at the prospect that this very powerful medicine can actually solve a very deep-seated addiction, if that's your problem. I think a certain amount of nervousness and fear when you're facing such a powerful drug, such a powerful medicine as Ibogaine is normal and warranted. But the research is very compelling. The success rate is phenomenal, through the roof. No other treatment that I'm aware of, and I have a PhD and I have researched a lot of therapies and treatments. Nothing comes close. It has something like 80% success rate for opioid addicts and very high success rate. There hasn't been a lot of research, but there will be, I assure you, for other drugs. And nothing comes close to that. So and you can have fear in this hand, but you have science and research in this hand, which I think should rationally outweigh the fear.